Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Menopause Chats. I'm your host, Erin. Today, I am speaking with Veronica Mignon, who operates the Healing Pen and hosts the Grackle in Winston-Salem. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. So, tell me a little bit about where you are in your perimenopausal journey.
Interestingly enough, I don't know where I am in the perimenopausal journey, which is why I think what you're doing is so amazing because I think that um, there are so many challenges in women's health that women aren't able to name. And sometimes when conversations are being had, it actually helps them name where they are. And so I can tell you if there is any level of measurement, put me at the bottom rung. I am the most uninformed. I am finding myself learning more about things that I happen to experience daily. That the more I've been thinking about it, as I've heard from you, I'm thinking, wait a dang on minute, is that perimenopause? So brand spanking new, uninformed, at the very bottom of knowledge about perimenopausal, but excited and happy that I could possibly put a name to challenges that I may be experiencing that I didn't know to call that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Just sort of this chance meeting turned into
Yes.
you being like, oh, wait a second.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I to the listeners, I had reached out to Veronica after attending her event in Winston-Salem a couple weeks ago because I guess I'll let you tell people what the Grackle is and why you started it.
Yes. So I have a business in Winston-Salem called the Healing Pen. Essentially, it's healing through journaling. And at my Healing Pen sessions, which is like guided journaling, the individuals that were present for the class, I would give them a prompt. They would write about the prompt. And when they decided to their level of comfort to share, that as they were telling what they wrote, they were actually telling a story. I saw how impactful it was for the individuals who were also inside of the same session. I could feel a visceral sense of relief when someone heard someone say something that they could relate to. And I knew that I needed or wanted to curate a space, which is how I came up with the idea about the Grackle, where people could go and tell, real stories in real time. And individuals in the audience would also feel that same feeling inside of a journal session like, wow, that happened to you, me too. Or, wow, I had no idea that ever happened to you, and allow you to hold space for empathy and compassion for people in an environment in a culture where everyone seems to feel so divided. I just wanted to create a sense of inclusion and support and community. And it's why I started the Grackle. More specifically, the Grackle, the actual bird. I told the individuals that were present that this bird appears to be like a blackbird, but it's actually beautifully iridescent. And there's more to the people that we meet than what meets the eye. And so that's how I started the Grackle.
So I wanted you to share it in your own words because that resonated with me, and that's why I reached out because I was like, oh, that's why I started Menopause Chats was
Yeah.
similar but focused on a very specific topic because everyone does have a story, and if we're lucky enough to live to this age to go through this experience, then I want people to know in everybody's story people are going to hear different things. I know someone's going to listen to this one and say, oh wait, I might also be perimenopausal.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, I can guarantee that there are 19 more of me's. So yes, that will definitely be happening. I'm sure about that.
Yeah. So when you started, because I know after our conversation, you started to look things up and we're like, oh, wait, yep, that's me, that's me, that's me. What kind of things were resonating with you?
Honestly, not anything about the symptoms at all.
Mm,
The very first thing that resonated with me was the realization of self-abandonment.
mm.
Um, how 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 often are women not really aware of what they are experiencing in their own body because of caring for the family members, loved ones, kind of just making sure that everybody is in their best position, everybody is doing the best outside of you, that you almost don't even know that you may not be well. I think that I can speak specifically for myself that culturally, you have to be like bedridden, debilitated for someone to think something is wrong with you. Um, there is no sensitivity in my culture for, some of the symptoms that I ended up looking up. Like if I didn't sleep well, nobody's not going to know because I have to still perform at a certain level.
Mhm.
If I'm feeling stressed or anxious or overwhelmed in any way, that's not going to be an indicator of that there is something that's going on or changing with my body hormonally, because that's the standard. It seems it's like daily, that's just how it seems to be. If um you know you are dealing with issues with weight or food choices or whatever the case is, you probably are spending more time in this kind of guilt or shame space, more than maybe what's happening to you has nothing to do with X, Y, and Z. Maybe this is something that you can't necessarily fight against with normal measures. It's like the very first thing that came to mind for me was just abandonment. Like I had to actually stop and like check in with myself. And so that was my very first experience upon doing the research.
And what does abandonment look like to you? Because I imagine it looks different to everybody.
Well, it looks like not knowing something's broken.
Mm.
Overperformance. I jokingly had this conversation with a friend. There was someone that had made a commitment, and then they broke the commitment, but they broke the commitment due to what I would describe, and I'm not saying that this is the right, you know, but I would describe it as laziness. That's what I would describe it as, laziness. We were talking to this friend and we were saying that if we had a commitment, we would come leg in a tourniquet, womb leaking, eyeball hanging out, and asking once we get there, how can I help? What do you need me to do? And everybody is looking at you like, hello, you are bleeding everywhere. Like, why didn't you stay at home? And it's like, because I said I would. So abandonment to me looks like not knowing when to prioritize my own personal well-being
Mhm.
because of my own internal chatter that says it's okay to abandon Veronica, just don't abandon the world. That's what self-abandonment looks like to me.
Thanks for sharing. It it makes me think about like when in my coaching work with people, particularly women of a certain age, about setting boundaries and having to set boundaries for the first time, like not realizing like, oh, I can say no, or I can say I cannot commit to something, or I can change my mind.
That feels like someone is ripping my flesh off of my body, to be
Mm,
candid. That's how much I have never exercised that. And when I do, you know, 40 years old and you are, now you're setting a boundary, right?
yeah,
Now you are trying out this thing. That part, honestly, that's the part that feels performative. It feels performative
mm,
to have the boundary. It feels performative because in my brain and in my mind, I can do it.
yeah,
But I don't, that's the part that's self-abandonment is because I don't even know it's abandoning me.
right.
So your ability to do it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing to do. just
Right.
because you can do it. And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to sort that out. I
Yeah.
really can't say I'm trying to sort it out because if it results in that I will be missing, that I could be possibly perimenopausal and kind of like sort of fighting against myself, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. And we talked about this earlier, the idea that like I didn't know I was
Hmm.
in perimenopause until way later, and it was sort of in hindsight, right? And hearing you talk about the self-abandonment is is probably what was happening with me as
Yeah,
well, right? Like I'm
right.
just like, well, I'm like, this is yeah, there's stuff going on, but whatever, I got other things to do. Like
Yes,
I'm just gonna
exactly.
keep on going, and and yeah, I'll see this doctor, it's not helping. Oh well, I guess there's nothing I can do, and just kind of move on, and just on with my day.
Yeah, yeah,
And and my sleep's never been great, so like I need sleep, and but it's never been like I've never been someone who slept through the night easily. I don't stay up, whereas I know some people, it's like, oh, I'm up, now I'm up, but I've always sort of tossed and turned and, wake up multiple times. So like to me that wasn't any different. So I was like, all
right.
right, this is just how it is. But yeah, and that's what also got me curious too about like, does your mindset and how you think about perimenopause and menopause impact your experience? Because if
Yes.
you aren't thinking, I have this sort of philosophy of like, if I think something's wrong, I'm going to be looking for the things that are
And
wrong.
then now it is inflamed
Yeah.
versus if I think something is wrong, then I can care for myself better.
Yeah.
So I think that's the part for me that in my work, especially like with the healing pen, is like collecting the data, getting the new information, but not to necessarily so that I can be mean to myself
Right.
and or even you know, rework this overproduction. It's just saying I recognize that there's something that's here that I need to give some real care and attention to. And how can I learn to be more gentle with myself, more kind with myself, more present for myself? And in doing so, because a woman like me who cares so much about other people, I'm actually teaching that too.
Yeah.
I'm teaching that. I mean, I'm a mother. I have a daughter. I have sons, but I'm saying I have a daughter. I have two grandchildren. There are going to be times where they need to see that demonstrated if what I have witnessed and what I've experienced is women who go places while they're on fire. I've witnessed that. So I need to rewrite this narrative of
Mm,
what are best practices for caring for yourself when you get new information.
right.
It's not time to get in the ring with yourself and beat yourself up. It's like, how can I be a better steward of self? And honestly, this is what you are waking me up to as a result of this conversation. These feelings of sometimes mood changes and instability, they feel so bigger and larger than life. But I'm like, now I'm thinking, yeah, because they're knocking at the door saying, hey, see me.
Yeah.
I'm here. I need some attention. I need some care. And so that's what I hope that ultimately this that can be modeled is
Yeah.
that we are both agreeing to maybe didn't know this was going on, but if in the event that someone in the early stages of maybe learning or finding out that that's what they are experiencing, that they'll become better stewards of themselves, hopefully.
Yeah. And just or curious, right, about themselves, what's going on with their body, how that might be different. I think when we're younger, we kind of go through this experience as teenagers as well as puberty. One, we don't have the same mental capacity as we do as an adult. And we
Yeah,
really don't know what we're doing. Even though health class teaches you, oh, your body's changing and you're going to experience
yeah,
these things, it's still a very different experience now as an adult going through similar hormonal changes, maybe just in an opposite way to
right.
puberty, but having this, I guess, mental capacity to say, wait a second, what is this that you didn't have when you were younger? But
Yeah,
also not knowing because people don't talk about it enough. Like you
yes,
are taught about puberty.
yes, but no one. teaching you about perimenopause.
Right. And so, I mean, I see it a lot because
I've
that's the
only heard of
space that I'm in.
menopause. In my growing up, I've heard of
Sure.
menopause.
Yep.
So and even then, it only had one symptom, and it was hot flashes.
Yep.
It had no more other symptoms
Yeah.
in my hearing about it growing up. So
Yep.
I didn't hear about perimenopause.
Yeah.
That was all I heard.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like menopause really honestly is a day. It's like this is the marker of 12 months without a period.
Yes.
That is it. Everything else is perimenopause. Everything else is postmenopause.
Yes.
And postmenopause can last for a while, like the perimenopausal symptoms that lead up to your one day can then continue on for sometimes a decade
Yes.
afterwards until things sort of normalize again. And that's what's so fascinating to me is that similarly, like only hot flashes and mood swings. Those were the two things, that
Yes.
I heard.
You had one
Um,
more symptom than me. I only had hot, and at least you got the second one.
yeah. And the hot flashes don't even affect everybody. So I
Right.
mean, people think that's, I think that's sort of the stereotype of, hot
Menopause.
flashes. I
Mhm.
mean, of menopause, but not everyone experiences them. And I was
So you're sitting
experiencing them.
there
That's what made
waiting
me think
on,
I was in perimenopause is I
yeah,
started to experience them at night. So night sweats and hot flashes are the same thing. It just depends
yeah,
on the time of day.
right, right.
And and that's really what started me to go, huh, I wonder. And then surprise.
So now you're sitting and you're waiting on your hot flashes. Meanwhile, you're missing
Yeah.
the seven other things that could be going on because the
Yeah.
only thing you're looking for is hot flashes if you're uninformed.
Right. Well, even then, like going to the doctor, because I was uninformed, and I had gone to the doctor like, hey, listen, I'm having, pain, pain in my vaginal area, particularly during intercourse. Oh, okay, well, we'll send you over to this place.
Slow
Yeah.
down. Give
And
me a
then it,
second. Hold on. Yeah.
yeah, and then they're like, nope, got to go to this thing. Then it's like, oh, well, now I'm experiencing something that feels like eczema down there. Oh, well, this lady, she was the last time I saw her. She's like, no, you sounds like you have herpes, and I was like, I think I would know. And I
Wow.
remember texting my husband saying, so they're having me take a test for herpes. If I have herpes, you have some explaining to do. I did not have herpes. And
Perimenopause affects the whole family. See how
yeah,
now
right?
he's at work stressed,
Yeah.
sweating.
And so, it's like it was negative. So I thought, because of course, like um, when things change down there, like it's not always present when you go to a doctor. So
Right.
they're going by what I'm
What
explaining.
you told them had happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so you have that. And, but again, none of these things, like you know, nobody else told me too about the like random hair.
Yes.
I'm always like, I have this one, actually jokingly, I saw it the other day and I took it out. And my husband's like, are you turning into a witch? I was like, probably. I'm like, I have no idea. It was like just this one chin hair or
Yeah, I
cheek
got the
hair.
one chin hair. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I don't know about any of this. I got the one chin hair.
Uh, so it's just interesting to me. It's like all these things that and if you depending on how open of a person you are talking with
Yeah.
other women about these things, because certainly, I mean, I'm very comfortable talking about these things, but I also get that other people are like, oh, I would never tell anybody about my vagina.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, I get that. And, I feel like let me tell you just for the, not because people need to hear about it, about mine, but like people need to know these are things to look out for. Like you just
Yes.
don't know there's other, you know, maybe had I known a decade ago, I would have had a different conversation with my provider. Providers aren't informed either.
Well, I see.
And we think they are because we sort of hold them up. It's like, oh, you went to school, you're a doctor, you're a professional, like you
Yeah.
should know these things. They don't.
Right. Right.
So,
Especially if they haven't ever experienced that.
right.
Because some things you can't put in a book,
Yeah.
you just have to have had lived experience for you to be able to know what things look like and how they show up. And it
Yeah.
may not show up for the masses, but I mean to say that one of the things that I tell a lot, I'll use this example for people who are raising children, and I say when I was a mother to a newborn, right? When that child became a toddler, I was an expert in newborns. And then when my toddler became, adolescent or whatever, I was an expert in newborns and I was an expert in toddlers. And then I had teenagers and then I was an expert in all the things below that. And then I got up here to raising adult children and I don't know anything.
Mm.
Okay. I'm not an expert in nothing anymore, but I'm saying that to say that all of these years of parenting, all of it, never prepared me for the realities of what it would be like to stand alongside adult children. And so some of how you learn to be the best of things is you have to have had the experience on it. It's not in a book. No
Yeah.
one can really give it to you. You have to have lived it.
Well, I think what's great about having these conversations now, too, particularly with women who have, whether it's teenagers or adult daughters, is being able to tell them, hey,
Yeah.
here's what to expect, because that didn't happen for us.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely. I don't even know if today, now that I think about it, I don't even know if my mother has ever told me, and my mother's 75. I don't know if my mother has ever talked to me about her menopause journey. Like if
yeah,
she has experienced even any menopause. I
yeah,
cannot recall as we're talking ever having a conversation with
yeah.
her about any changes in her body.
Yeah, I
So,
never did either, and I now my mom's 78, but had similar, conversation with her now as an adult to say, "Hey, like, what do you remember of your menopause journey?"
yes.
I don't know. I don't remember anything.
And now it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's
And
gone.
I think her response was something along the lines of like, I don't know, I was always a bitch or something like that. Like, like something, humorous. But yeah, she just and I was like, yeah, I don't, I'm like, I don't recall her having hot flashes. I don't recall her complaining about anything. It's just sort of like this is what it was. And I know she even said like my grandmother has long since passed, but like her mom, she's like, she never talked about it either, because I think similar, the self-abandonment that we started with, it's like women, particularly I think of a certain, my uh grandmother was, firstborn in the US, like of immigrants and like this is just we work hard, we keep our mouth shut, you
Yes.
know, we do what we
Yes.
need to do and we stay out of trouble.
Yes. Yes. So therefore there would be no one sharing what I'm experiencing because what you gonna do about it anyway?
Right,
It's like this is leaning into complaining and no one can fix it kind of
right.
thing. So
Yeah.
we're not sharing.
Whereas I feel like now there's a shift a little bit of like, oh, there are things you can do. And
You
so it's like,
can
what,
do.
or at least be seen or make a choice of if you want to continue doing what you're doing, or here are some other options for you to, because particularly when our moms would have gone through it, if they're similar in age, the study that came out that caused everybody to no longer want to be on hormones at all was
Yes,
very prominent. And so that's shifting a lot. But there's other natural things that people can use and do as well. But to me, that's again a very personal journey, right? Like you
absolutely.
choose what you want to do for your body and for
Right.
yourself.
Yeah.
You had mentioned about journaling as a tool.
Yes.
How do you see journaling helping anyone, really?
I think that journaling helps anyone. If we weren't going to just be specific, just for what the conversation that we're having, is to identify what you're actually feeling. I can't tell you how many times people have described these kind of elementary emotions as how they were feeling. So let's say I say to you, Erin, how are you feeling today? And you're like, I'm mad. And so we know the core emotions, mad, sad, happy, But sometimes people say mad, but they really are embarrassed.
Hmm.
Or sometimes people say they're sad, but they really are exhausted. And so journaling helps to identify how people are actually feeling and showing up. And sometimes, or at least my experience is the more that you journal and the more that you write, you unlock those real feelings. I have started journaling. I can't tell you how many times where I'm like writing, this rage filled writing, and I'm just getting all these emotions out. And by the time I'm done, the beginning words are like fury, anger, rage. And then at some point when I kind of like lean up against disappointment, because that's what I really feel, I get so exhausted from how high emotionally I was in this like area of rage and anger that I just stopped writing. I have like literal journal entries that have unfinished. It never, a sentence never ended with a period. It was just, I needed to get that out. And so I find that the benefit of journaling is that people are literally packed with emotions and feelings and thoughts, and they are housing them every single day. It has nowhere that it can go. And if in the event that you think you are such a great stuffer, oh, I have stuffed these emotions, they'll never come back out. I want you to know that is a lie from the pit of hell, that they will show up. And even if they don't exit your body, like lash out or whatever the case is, or depression or anything like that, I think that they pull up and park and they find spaces that like hang out in your body, and they can show up as hypertension or diabetes or all these other things because there's so many unprocessed emotions that are just kind of like hanging out. And I should say this very carefully. I feel like, do I have any wood? This might not even be real wood, but I have been through a lot of things in my life, a lot of things. I'm currently not the weight that I would want to be. Probably not the weight that a provider would ask me to be, based off of these, kind of man-made metrics. But I will say, every single time that I go to the doctor and their lab work to be done, I've never had abnormal labs. And again, I don't want to say that in a way of bragging or anything like that, but I mean to say, I don't think that what I'm saying or suggesting that people can do is just some kind of made up theory. I recognize how much benefit it is to be a person who I do both. I can journal, and then I also don't have fear in sharing. That transparency that you spoke of when you talked about having conversations with someone about what's going on with your vagina. I mean, I'm the person who slams her leg up and is like, hey, look, friend, what is this? I'm literally that open. I have no qualms about like transparency and talking and sharing and getting things out, and leaving no stone unturned, no pages unturned. I'm just so, and I know a lot of people who don't find comfort in that.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to talk to a therapist, if you're not going to talk to your friends, if you're not going to talk to your spouse, then talk to your journal, and to get things out and to share, because otherwise everything you're feeling is literally inside of your body. Well, guess what? Your body has organs, and your body has veins, and your body has muscles. It doesn't have space for big emotions.
Yeah.
In fact, in my opinion, the emotions are bigger in your body. By the time you get them out on paper, they actually decrease in size. It only feels that big because we're trying to store it inside of these tiny bodies. And so I think that that is the beautiful benefit of journaling. And I could imagine connecting it to perimenopause or just understanding, these body changes, is having opportunities, pauses, and breaks where you can just do self check-ins. Today, I noticed that this was different than my normal feeling, what I typically feel. I was at the grocery store, and this is what happened when the lady pulled and ran and jumped in front of it. Whatever it is, but it's like, you can process, you can move through. Was it as big as I thought it was? Is this particular emotion something that's typical of me? Do I feel this often? Do I feel this frequently? And then I think also how you describe going to the doctor and you talk to them about an emotion, but about something that's going on with your body, but it's not necessarily present. That's the same as explaining what happened. If I have a, a feeling on Monday and then I go to the doctor on Friday, I don't lost the words for what I experienced on Monday. But if I'm journaling about these symptoms and these things in real time, I literally can read to my provider line by line. This is what I experienced on Monday. Journaling is not just long paragraphs. Sometimes journaling is lists. Sometimes journaling is spurts of words that you feel in real time. It's like waking up from a dream. And if you don't write down your dream right away, by 2 p.m., you have completely forgotten. I don't know
2
what I
p.m.
learned. Yeah, that's too far out, right?
20 minutes after I wake up.
It's gone. And so you journaled about it and then you're able to recall. Interestingly enough, not only are you interesting to recall, but you can remember very vivid details. It's like the dream comes back to life. I think that about journaling too. Not so much so to ruminate over something constantly, but it's saying like I want to honor that I'm experiencing this and I make this emotion, this feeling, this whatever have like space so I can address it, acknowledge it, and find out what do I do with it. Like, do I need to do more with this, or did I just need to give it some attention for right now and I can lay this to rest? But I need to know it even exists in order for me to figure out what my next steps are. And so I think that journaling is absolutely instrumental in helping people do that.
I started this practice a couple years ago because I was in a group and they're like, "Oh, celebrate your wins," right? Like and the wins can be small. They don't have to be. It's like it could be like I woke up today.
Yes,
Like it
absolutely.
doesn't have to be like I won an award somewhere, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but keeping track of them. So then, it for me, it's been really helpful because I forget. I forget all the small little things that happen,
Mhm.
and then can go back and be like, "Oh yeah, I had a pretty good year."
See? Yes. You have to, when you're able to go back and, because that's another, benefit of journaling. It also can have you measure success in the sense of what was ailing me,
Mm,
January the 28th.
yeah,
Am I still experiencing that August the 14th, right? Sometimes you don't even know how you have overcome certain
yeah.
situations because when we're moving on to the next thing, you don't get to kind of count that, oh, that did get resolved.
Yeah.
Or I'm no longer thinking that way anymore, or that has changed, or something is different for me. And I think that what little I know about perimenopause, because I know nothing, so I want to be very clear, I think that is going to be very helpful for the rumination of thoughts
Yeah.
that may come as a result of new data. Because trust me, having new information is not always great either, because now it has you hyper vigilant. It's like, you kind of looking to the left and looking to the right, and you're like, is that me? Do I have that kind of thing? And
Is this perimenopause? Is this perimenopause?
yes. And so journaling is helping me to see,
Mm.
am I experiencing this thing post an experience?
Yeah.
Or was this sudden onset
Right.
that
Oh, yeah. Is this
nothing
a
brought that?
pattern or is this a one-off?
And it's a one-off, right? Like you journal about that and you can make some proper assessments to
Yeah.
things for you. So yes, I absolutely agree.
Anything else you'd want to share with someone listening today?
I don't want to assume that the only people that will listen to this conversation are women. I think that I hope that there are men that would take great interest in finding out ways that they can support their loved ones. And so, although I don't want to assume that only women would listen, I can say that what I need to say is to women. I really want women to unlearn the value and the identity that has come as a result of overproduction, and that our worth is tied in our work. And as I'm saying this to women, I will probably need to listen to this because I need to say this to myself that if you've had a headache for a week and you didn't even notice, that's a problem. And if you have felt emotionally, there's been some shifts and some changes, and you aren't able to identify fluctuations and abnormalities because you're just so busy. That's a problem. I would highly encourage women, whether their medium is journaling or some other way, to just slow down and check in with themselves. If you are a good mother, if you are a good spouse, if you are a good employee, if you're a good business owner, if you're a great friend, but you aren't a great steward of self, I would actually argue there is no real way to be the best of all of those other things to other people if it's at the expense of continuing to do harmful things to you. So I want women to just check in, just slow down, evaluate what they're thinking, what they're feeling, how they're showing up today, and just make space for yourself regularly. And then make whatever adjustments that are necessary post whatever information you find out. I just think it's high time for women to move out of being great caregivers of everybody else and negligent of self. And that includes me.
Whew. Well, thank you. I also needed to hear that. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you for
Um,
having me. And
yeah.
thank you for hearing a story and thinking you should come talk to us. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you for listening and joining us today. And I'd be honored if you subscribed and shared Menopause Chats with others. If you're interested in being a guest, you can also reach out to me. But until next time, we will see you later. Thank you so much.